go to Linux. Connection seems to be a little slow connection.
Yeah, I suspect that there are a lot of other people using the open network. It's
Oh, yeah,
it's probably
probably
rate
so.
limited too,
Yeah, you're probably right about that. Okay.
just like at, I mean, it's gotten a lot better at university.
Boy, the university actually is 1G over there, which is pretty good. Then you get to Google Docs. I was using Open Libre, but for this I decided to do Google Docs. But it works all right.
Yeah.
I may have to go to Google Docs. Not Google Drive. Shoot, I got this one. Google Docs. Do you know how many people showed up today for this?
Well, there are probably, what, 10, 15 people?
15, 16 people.
Oh, no, well, not this one. I mean,
Oh,
the conference. Yeah.
The conference, they had.
There was several hundred last
just
year.
had 380 registrants,
Okay.
and they were getting closer to 400. And
Oh.
I don't know how many actually showed up last year. There were 250 showed up.
Thank you.
So it's going to be.
It was 300 something last year.
Yep.
Yeah. Wait. Is their Wi-Fi slow in all the rooms?
I don't have, I can ask.
I think it is.
Well, this is more people than we've ever had here.
Is it?
Yeah, we were just talking
We're
about
about
that.
100 more than last year.
Oh boy, a lot of them then, yeah.
But,
He was telling me,
I mean, we're in here waiting.
he said about 15.
Yep.
There weren't a lot, yeah, there was more last year.
Yeah, well, one thing is, it's a little bit harder to find stuff this year than last year. Last year I had more signage at the.
Oh yeah, right, you
area.
did, yeah.
But they put those monitors up, and I'm not supposed to tape anything to the monitor, but that would
Okay,
be the best place. They didn't want us to tape stuff to the walls. So,
okay.
I don't know. I gotta work.
Oh well. Let's see. How did I find a Google Doc that I just put in here?
Go to Drive. It's probably the fastest.
Oh, you're the template thing.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong, okay. All right.
That's fair. And then you can hit recent on the far left side there, halfway down the page.
Okay.
There you go. Looks like right at the top, you've got a slide there, security enhanced Android.
Yep.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I don't see it on my screen.
Yeah.
Oh, I do.
Right under today. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, I do now, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let me just, wait a second here.
You may have to double click on it again. There it goes.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, no, it was, it kind of, I mean, I put on the shelf for a little while, because it's like, you know, I didn't know you guys were gonna start filming the game, so I'm like, oh, okay, well, I can wait to edit it, and then obviously, it goes out
Just
there on the
move
shelf,
along
and
here.
it's like, horrible, so this year I think I'm just gonna try and edit it like, right away, and then you guys want to.
Still not fully loaded.
No.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't have anything where we move to the next slide, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't look like it's still not finished loading. Here it comes.
Yeah.
Ah, okay, yeah, it's dead, it's dead. All right. We are ready. This is security enhanced Android. This morning we'll talk about the Android kernel and what is happening in the Android kernel in terms of privacy. And we'll look at some of the new features in Marshmallow 6 and 6.1. And we'll get into a little bit of history of enhanced Linux, Linux kernel. It came from the NSA, and 20 years ago we used to actually go to the NSA site and check a little box and download the enhanced part of Linux kernel, and then of course compile it in. Now it's been, for the last number of years, it's been in the kernel, and hopefully before this is over, I can actually show you the kernel, the Linux kernel. But anyway, let's move right on here, and we'll start a discussion. That's it. So, we're in Lollipop. I would ask how many developers out there are using Lollipop at this point in time. Is there anyone in the room that's using Lollipop?
Nope.
Or on their phones? You have Lollipop on your phone, right?
Marshmallow.
You have Marshmallow. I know you'd be different.
Well, okay, yeah, I've got Lollipop on, another.
Very, very few people probably have Marshmallow. Anyone else have Marshmallow? Yeah, I sort of suspected that, but nonetheless, we want to talk about it. This is the Marshmallow project. This is a security enhanced project to identify and address critical gaps in security of Android. And modeled after the Linux program, Android is moving, is in a transition, moving towards the Linux kernel. It is actually a fork is a technical term for it, but it's moving more in terms of SEC, Linux. And you'll see more and more of that, and also you'll see with Android will be moving in terms of Google Chrome. And I don't know if they'll drop the name in the future, you probably know this. But should have Lloyd in here. But they will actually, the convergence is on. Those similar models out there, we look at Ubuntu on the Linux side. Ubuntu was coming with the Ubuntu phone. They still have it on the damper someplace, where they'll run their OS across desktop servers, mobile devices, tablets, etc., and into the Internet of Things, which we'll talk about here also. So all of those things are coming up. The same thing with Windows. Windows has it on their desktop. They have it on their Windows phone. If they can sell them, very few of them around. Last time I walked through the mall, the Windows store, yeah, I was the only one there. But they're still a game. In fact, I don't have it. Windows is just recently will put out a toolkit for developers to run Android on Windows 10, and it's coming quickly. Already on the we'll talk about the client and server side. On the server side, the cloud is now the Microsoft cloud. It used to be Azure. Basically, the cloud is Linux. And Microsoft has Linux in their cloud, in fact, it's running on Linux, in their cloud. So more and more Microsoft is moving towards Linux. You see a conversion with all of these OSs. They're basically moving in the same direction. Now, part of the talk here, talking about enhancing Android, and we'll get into that in just a minute. Are there any Android developers here? Oh, okay. Anyway, I was talking with a gentleman that's giving a presentation. I think right now he's doing the Google Cardboard box. Is that? Okay. Anyway, he's doing that. He was explaining to me what happened to him in terms of a watch. He has a Moto watch, and it's from Motorola, a Moto, whatever it is. Anyway, he wanted to apply the app to his phone so he could communicate with his watch. Many people do that, but unfortunately, because of notifications, which we'll get into here, at one time with the Android world, when you deployed an app on your phone, you would get a notification there as to what you would do and not do. Well, it's a bit different now when you access that. To make the story short, he was forced to either approve in his address book going to this third party and certain other things that are going there, or he could not run the app. So he chose not to run the app. And he was explaining to me how the developer that was developing the app did not do due diligence. In other words, it was improperly coded. And that we'll get into this is the next slide here. We'll eventually get there.
You might be able to get into present mode.
Yeah.
When if you look up under the top menu under more.
Okay. Possibly.
Try to the far right,
The down arrow.
the downward pointing chevron.
To the far right.
Yeah.
The two double arrows, the far right.
Not the,
There you go.
Oh,
Right there.
see when you get
Yeah,
Present
click on
button.
present.
Okay. Oh. Yes. All right.
there.
On we go.
Slightly to the left of your, above your face there, there's a button that's being obscured by the box. And the button says present.
Okay, just a minute. Oh, I see. Okay.
Left and up.
Nope, nope, don't click that one, don't click that one.
Next to comments.
Right, you'll see the blue share button, next to that is comments, and then next to that is present.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
Click that and then.
I'm not sure what it's giving me now when I hit present.
Hopefully it's
Yeah,
gonna
you should be able,
show you a
it'll
single
just show you the
page.
slide, and then you'll be able to use the arrow buttons on your keypad.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, sort of like the old PowerPoint.
Yeah.
I remember giving a presentation.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember giving a presentation once, and we were forced to use the IBM equivalent of PowerPoint. I forget what it is right now, it doesn't really matter. But because it was an IBM conference, that's what we had to use. So, anyway, it was kind of a disastrous. That looks better now.
Yeah.
All right.
You can just press down, also down arrow on the
You can,
keyboard.
okay.
That might help.
All right.
Or it might help.
Nonetheless, we'll go back here to SELinux. It supports the domain permissions, modes that allow specific processes to operate in permissive mode. In Linux and Unix, it's all about permissions. You have to have permissions to do anything virtually. So you, generally speaking, will you have permissions by groups. You'll have permissions in terms of who is able to read and write and execute a file there. So basically, it's about the same situation that you have here, a little bit different way of doing it. We'll get to that in just a minute here. They have permission to manifest, and this is what Mr. I think Black was talking about there. And since there aren't any people here, you can get that. But anyway, nonetheless, this is how you actually would do it. Here, and your schema, et cetera, and your package, and of course, example what your app is. So if you did this, you would be able to add the permission, and your app would not turn out in the same direction as the Motorola app did. Now, if the person would give you permission, I don't know. In Windows 10, the permissions are more or less a default. You can change that, but most people never look. It takes you about 20 minutes to do it when it's set up there. Otherwise, all your information is returning to Microsoft. That is the story of Windows 10. Now, requested permission at runtime, this is 6. Users grant permission to applications while the application is running, and not when they install the application. I already made that point, but again, this is something new. And the whole idea behind it, the developer was explaining to me last night, we were there, well, the general idea was to give the users more control over their privacy, was the idea. But at the same time, the developers of the app assumed that they would get this information. And a lot of people, when they are confronted with the choice of running the application or not running the application, they just check yes, 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 yes. And your address book is lent to someone else. In other words, they have names, they have phone numbers, there's just a lot of information they are able to ascertain. And now this is to check your permissions and calls. I won't go into much of this because, for example, it shows to check if activity has a permission to write to the calendar, and this is another situation going on there. You can see that the code is right, calendar. And some of the newer things coming up. There's a whole section there, Marshmallow developers, where you can get to this, and this is just an idea of explaining to you some of what would be going on here in terms of permissions and the names, etc. It's a very, very long list. I just put a few here, such as user permission, Android name. It's just a way of simple coding. And if you follow this, your application will run properly. If not, well, you'll just have the same thing this other gentleman had, where you'll be able to. Now, we're going to move very, very quickly here to the cloud routing. Now, that is something new. That's on Microsoft's server side, and it's just it allows the user to do some routing there of VND, virtual private networks, and to change topologies, to propagate automatically your own network, vice versa, etc. This is something brand new. Google has just came out with it, and so the benefits, dramatic routing of VPNs, rather essential requirement for large organizations, just for the enterprise, eliminate the need to configure static routes, VPN tunneling, which you generally speaking have to do, and one here at the Faithful University there, and their VPs over there, and you have some problems. Anyway, this will eliminate that interoperability, way of discovering network topology changes. So, they are coming up to 2016, and this is also, this is a little bit different right here, a project called Skybinder. That's the use of drones, and what that will allow them to do is go to the next wave using radio transmitters. This would be G5 from G4, and you'd be able to theoretically transmit gigabytes of data every second, up to 40 times more than today's G4 Lite there. So this is one of the things Google is working on, and they'll be able to do this in emerging economies. Very important. Last year I gave a presentation here. We were talking about the use of blimps, the also use of balloons, and various other ways of getting internet access to countries that are very sparse in a population, doesn't matter where they are. So that is one of the things Google is doing. Also, anyone here at the Google Developers Conference?
Google I/O. Some years, not every year.
No, okay. Anyway, there is a new service deal, and I was going to look it up this morning because it was 2 months ago when I read it. But anyway, effectively what it is a caching mechanism on the client side, in other words, the smartphone. What it allows you to do, if you have a slow internet service, or in places like India where the power goes out continuously, you'll be able to cache your web pages on your smartphone. So that is something that is in. I don't have it in this. I had intended to get it in, but sometimes you don't. And this is the actual place. What this is a place that they have private rockets in the space program. This is not NASA, but it's the private rockets that boost satellites and various other things into space. And this is part of that quote-unquote top secret operation that they have, and this is just a photo of some of the ways that Google is moving along, as they say, in this. And this is actually for developers. This is the Nexus firmware images. They're constantly updating that. This is their security bulletin. You can go look this up. This is on the 1st of February, and of course there'll be another bulletin issue there to update the firmware. I don't know if anyone here has a Nexus smartphones or not, doesn't it? Do, okay. So you'll be getting a firmware update. Zero-day kernel flow. That is, that's been around now. It's in the Android ecosystem, and that's part of what this patch is about. To patch it. It's not there yet. It's coming. One of the things I discovered in the research for the talk is many things, the patches are not there many times, and also at the same time, you have situations where you have the headset and smartphone manufacturers that put out their updates. And also the Verizons of the world have their updates. So for instance, say if you have a Lollipop phone, they probably don't have the Marshmallow update out, or if you're like my friend there, you went to Google to get yours? Or did your phone automatically update you?
Which?
In Marshmallow.
It shipped with Marshmallow.
Oh. Okay.
I bought the new Nexus 6P.
Oh, you have a Nexus phone.
New
Okay.
phone.
Yeah.
Oh, nice phone.
Oh yeah. I love it. And then people have pockets and like to put their phone in their pocket. They can't understand having a big phone, but now that I have a big phone, it's so much easier. Like you can type and you still have enough space to see what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
It's not quite a tablet, but kind of a mini tablet, we'll say. It's what, about, 5 inches?
They call them phablets when they get to be a phone and a tablet, and it's like too big. Yeah.
It's like 6.5 inches or something like that, I think is when they.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
I think these ones are 5.7.
Okay.
This one, and the 6 was a little bit bigger, but it was just ridiculously sized. The 6P. It's like the yeah.
Can you get the camera on his phone? So he can show his phone there.
Well, here. Well,
You'll
just
just
leave it
bring it
pointing.
over.
Leave it
Okay.
pointing towards the front. And I'll just move it over.
Okay. Yep, you're in there.
So yeah, the new phones are pretty
Pretty huge.
pretty nifty, pretty big.
Okay, anyway, that's the latest Nexus phone. Google invention there. But most of the phones don't have the security patches out. In fact, the security patches will take some time to appear on the scene. Just a second, I'll go to the Linux part of the presentation here. We do have about, was this in at about 10 of the hour or something like that?
Yeah.
5 morning.
5-minute warning.
5-minute warning, okay, I'll try to do it. Take me a second to get 5-minute warning. Anyway. Maybe we'll get there in time. We can get Linux up, at least you can look at it. What we were planning to do was to bring actually two different notebooks. And we decided not to do that. We were going to move to one to the other, because what we were going to do was run Android on an 886 system. A little different, it's out there. They don't have it. We run it in virtual box. Or no, you also can run it in VMware. Picking up on Linux.
Here it is.
Yep. You're no doubt familiar with this.
I am indeed.
Somebody was telling me you were around for Kernel 1.
Back in the early 90s.
Yeah, I remember when we used to get the kernels on, what was it, 2.5 floppy disk.
Yeah. Yeah. Or
Three-
use
three and a half.
Minix to
3.5,
bootstrap
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Or using Minix to bootstrap it. So that's-
Yeah, that was way out there. Let me just hurry up.
Yep.
People are
Sorry,
at
the
the
next
gate.
talk started at 12. Or sorry, 11.
Yeah, you're gonna end up like me, start to talk at the wrong time. Oh well.
For the recording, put in what your picture wants, and then 14 more minutes, and then
Switch to the next presentation, I suppose. Anyway, you will get an opportunity just to see the desktop. Very good.
is it something Android related? Do you have like an Android
We do actually have that on here, but what we're doing right here is the Linux. I'll show you just a second here. Coming up. There is actually an emulator on here. We'll have time to, you're looking at the door. Maybe we'll have time to crank it up real quickly here. Let's see, crank it up really quickly. The emulator. What I actually wanted to do was run the 886 one, but I didn't have time. I don't have it. And this will make a presentation. We'll just go very, very quickly here.
I heard
This is in Linux idea of where permissions are. You can kind of,
Like we actually like you know everyone.
but
And they have like
bring up enough controversy as it is, but
you can see Android here. You can see some of the permissions here. This is the user, which is red, and also the users here can write Android Studio. You won't see the Android Studio, we don't have time, but we do have time to show you how Linux does this. And this is actually in the Linux kernel. Nonetheless, this does it for our presentation, we're done.
Very good.
Next
Thank
person
you.
will be here.